Hi everyone. So today I have a really special project to share with you using the Silent Night stamp set by Honeybee Stamps. I simply adore this focal image of the little deer with a bird on its back. There are a number of other images in the stamp set that are adorable as well, but I fell so in love and so hard for this focal image that I really wanted to design a card that use this image as the centerpiece without any distraction. So the card we're going to make today, it's going to be totally colored with Copic markers, and it's going to be this focal image of the little deer and his little birdie friend, and they're going to be in the middle of a snowy evening, and it's going to look like there's a little spotlight around them. So to get started, I just stamped our focal image on masking paper, and now I'm just cutting out the mask. And one of the little tricks I have is that if I have a brand new stamp set, I never want to stamp it onto my card panel. To start, I always want to have like a little practice stamp just to make sure that the stamp is seasoned, and by stamping my mask before I stamp my images on the card, that tends to help with that. So that's what I did here. I just stamped our mask first, and now I'm cutting that out, and I'm kind of switching up between my large scissors and my small scissors depending on how big or small of an area I need to kind of get around. And that looks good to me. This is Simon Says Stamp masking paper. It's my favorite masking paper for Copic markers. It does not let any of the ink seep through the bottom underneath, and it also stays put while you're inking, so it doesn't peel up. Now I stamped our deer with some tuxedo black memento ink, and I'm just pressing down, making sure I got a good impression, and then I'll tape everything to my little piece of cardboard, and now we're going to apply the mask before we start coloring. Now I don't remember if I said, but this is an A2 size card panel, and it's Express It blending card. That's the cardstock that I'm using. It's my favorite cardstock for Copic coloring. I'm just kind of sketching in where the ground is and where the sky is, just by making that little wavy line in the center. And now we're going to start adding the glow around our little focal image. So I'm taking some BG10, and then I realized that I colored below my skyline there, so I'm just fixing that up, and now sketching in the entire skyline so that I remember where it is and I don't color over it again. And then I'm just going to take my marker and in circular motions just kind of go around and around and around our focal image. And the end product is going to be that it gets darker and darker as you get towards the edges of the card, and then the center of the card, that's sort of right around the little deer and little bird, that's going to stay nice and light. So it looks like they're being illuminated by, maybe it's the moon, maybe it's love, maybe it's magic, but they're definitely going to look all lit up in this scene. Now I'm just blending in my BG10 to my B91 with some BOO and then BG000. And then I will build out the rest of the sky with B93, B95, B97, and then a little bit of B99 as well. And I'm making little like scribbly marks. I've been kind of experimenting lately with just new ways to get texture into my Copic coloring. So one of the experiments I've been working on is trying to get like a smoky, hazy look to scenes, and I'm trying out this new method of just kind of making little like circular squiggly marks to color things in, just to kind of see if I can figure out I don't know, just a new technique, a new way to kind of lay down color with my Copics. And then the best part about making a snowy scene is that if you're inking, you're not really happy with it, you're just going to cover the whole scene in snow anyway. So you're not going to, see some areas maybe where you think that the ink blending isn't perfect. So these wintry scenes are perfect if you're just trying to learn or if you're experimenting or trying to build up your skills on making nighttime skies. And then, as I always do, once I lay down my first layer of color, I usually work from the inside out, and now I'm going to start working from the outside in until I make my way to the focal image. And then usually with those 2 coats of color, it's usually enough to have blended in my background well enough. Now I'm taking some B000 and then finally that BG10 just right in the center. Now we're going to work on our snowy hills. And I have to admit, as I started to do this, I haven't made a snowy hill since last winter, and I forgot how. So I forgot how to make it look like there are little like bumps or little mounds of snow or snowdrift. So I think I'm going to have to go back and watch one of my videos from last year to refresh myself about how to make snowy mounds in your backgrounds. But in the meantime, what I'm doing is I'm just drawing little lines and slashes with BG000, B60, until it starts to look like snow. I mean, that's really the method that I used. I just kept making little scribbles on the page until it looked like something. So if you ever get lost, I highly recommend that technique. You'll be surprised with what you come up with. Sometimes the things that you come up with on accident work out much better than the things that you try to do on purpose. At least that's been my experience with coloring. For our little deer, I'm going to color him in with E40s, and I'm going to start with my E42. This is a really large image, so it took me a while to color. It probably took about 10 minutes or so to color, and there's a lot of area to color. So it's just going to take me a little bit of time to get through it. So for this first base color, we're going to use E42 and then E41. And now I'm going to lay down a second layer of color. And I actually think I might put 3 total layers by the time we're done with this deer. I'm going to take some E44 and just add that to the edges of the deer's body. And in like any of the areas where you would expect there to be a shadow, like underneath the belly there, where the back leg sort of meets the front leg, the edges of the fur, the little area around the neck, like where the head meets the neck, you'd expect there to be a little shadow there. And then we're going to just blend in my E44 with this E43. And as I blend, I'm just trying to leave a little piece at the center of each of the parts of the deer that I'm coloring. I'm trying to leave that light so that I can go back over that with an even lighter marker. And this is one of the ways that you help to build in dimension or roundness into your figures by just leaving, little bits of white in the center of the objects. If you ever get lost and you're not sure what to do for shading, coloring dark on the outside and light on the inside is always the way to go. You'll always come up with something that looks pretty good if you follow that technique. And now I'm adding in some darker shadows. So I guess, this is a 4th layer of Copic color that I'm adding to this little deer. So I'm taking my E47, and I'm not going to go on all the areas that I went on before. I'm just going to go on the areas where I want there to be a really, really dark shadow. And then I'll blend all of that in with an E44. And again, I'm not working very far outside of the lines of where I just laid down the E47 because I do want to leave that center area light, because that's what, as you can see, just from where the picture is now, that's what's helping to give the dimension and the roundness to the figure. It's amazing how just having a little bit of lightness in the center of whatever part you're coloring will help you to achieve that. Now I'm just going to take my E43, and I think I'm nearing the end of this, and then I just went over the whole image with that E43 to blend everything together. Now we can start working on the belly. And so for the belly, I wanted this to be white, so we're going to add some shading with a W3, a W5 for the darkest areas where you would expect there to be a shadow, and then I'll blend all that out with a W00. For the hooves, we're going to use neutral gray, so N5 and N7. And then I thought that face was a little bit light, so I'm just blending that in with some E43. And now for the tail, I wanted to make sure that the tail stayed white, so I added some W3 there. And then for our bird, we're going to make a little like red and coral colored bird. So the outside of the bird is going to be R39 and R24, and then the belly will be RV52. And then the beak, a little C9. I was trying to make it look a little bit like a cardinal, although this bird doesn't have a black face, but I thought we could at least give him a black beak. Although I guess that's the opposite. The cardinals have a black face and then a bright orange beak. Oh well, he still is cute, even if his coloring isn't perfect to be a cardinal. Now I just put a little shadow underneath the feet of the deer, and then I added some black glaze pen to the eye to make it pop. I'm going to put some white gel pen on those little spots on the deer. And now we're going to add our snow, and we're going to add a lot of snow. I probably spent 10 minutes adding snow to the scene. And we're going to start by making really big snowflakes. And to start, I'm not going to put them on the focal image just yet, but I will when I go back in with my second coat of larger flakes. Now I'm adding the lighter flakes, and I'm dotting it all over the page, so even on the focal images. And it's very important, in fact, to make sure you get a lot of snow on top of your images, because you want it to look like they are in the middle of the snowstorm. If there were snow all around them and not on them, it would look like the snowstorm was somewhere behind them. So to really help with the magical feel to this scene, I just made sure that I dotted snow, large and small, all over the focal images as well as the sides. And I made sure to have there be a lot of snow like right around the edges of the border, just to help give it an interesting look. And that's it. So that is our Copic colored deer card and little bird card. And now I'm going to take this kindness stamp set for our sentiment. And I love that there are so many words and phrases that you can use. And the phrase that stuck out to me was, "I thank God for you." I just thought that this card would be perfect for maybe a child to give to a parent, or for a parent to give to a child. I just think it's adorable with the little deer and the little bird, and it's clear that they're really the best of friends. And I couldn't decide if I wanted a blue sentiment strip or a black one. In the end, I decided to go for black. I always like my black sentiment strips. I find that nothing else quite looks as good as black cardstock with some white embossed sentiment on top of it. And then we're going to use these little acrylic hearts by Honeybee Stamps. These are, I think it's called Sugared Peach. And they're just adorable. And these are matte hearts. There are also some clear hearts as well in the pack. But I thought that the matte ones looked really, really good, and just kind of complemented the colors in this scene. So there's our card today, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. There's lots of fun stuff coming up at Honeybee Stamps in the next couple of weeks. There's a new release coming out, so I wasn't on Instagram much this weekend because I was hard at work on all of my design team projects, and I'm just dying to share with you some of the things I've made, but you'll be seeing all that in the coming week or so. Thanks a lot, and I will see you again soon in the next video.